Alright, good afternoon everybody. I came across this podcast called Headlines. I've heard here and there. David Lichtenstein soll das sein. Very, very interesting podcast, generally with prominent people in the Jewish community, usually discussing issues in halacha and Jewish law, or the Jewish way of life, but sometimes other things, hashkafa, Jewish ideology, and so forth. The superintendent of the schools where my children attend in Kiryas Joel, Joel Petlin, he posted this because he said, in case you missed it, I just realized what ICYMI stands for, in case you missed it. Here was the interview with Rabbi Lichtenstein and Ben Shapiro. But to be honest, I was much more impressed by a Dvar Torah, by a Vort that Rabbi Lichtenstein shared at the beginning before the interview. And after hearing it, I must have shared it already 4 or 5 times just in the last 2 hours or so. And so now I'm sharing with you all, but I'm giving credit to Rabbi Lichtenstein from Headlines. So we try to look that up. Headlines, I think they come out every week or every 2 weeks or so with very fascinating interviews with very fascinating people in the Jewish community. The language is the yeshivish language. You know, you should be expected to understand the way Orthodox Jews speak if you really want to, be involved here. But that's essentially, and so the way he presented it is going to be different the way that I'm presenting it now. He spoke in a very yeshivish way, saying this particular word, and I will say it over more or less in plain English, as I did at work today to the institutionalized people, and I plan to share it again several times, perhaps this week at work, for sure on Friday with our Friday group, maybe Tuesday as well. We'll see. Tuesday will be a little bit difficult fasting, but we'll see. It shouldn't be that difficult. I kind of feel bad I didn't fast today. I realize that, it's Ches Tevis, which I always love to make a video about, the Septuagint, and I have other videos that you can watch that there. Anyway, this part about Yosef and Tzaddik, Joseph. We'll talk regular English here. We know the story of Joseph, right? His brother sell him into slavery. He gets, in Egypt, he gets bought by a fellow named, well, in English to say Potiphar. In Hebrew it's Potiphar. His wife tries to seduce him. He resists, so she does a Me Too hashtag, frames him for a rape that he did not commit. He winds up going to jail for about 20 years. He gets out because he interprets some dreams, and then 2 years later the Pharaoh has some dreams, and the butler who he interpreted dreams before tells the Pharaoh, there's this Hebrew kid, he can interpret dreams, why don't you get him out of jail? And as it goes on, then he says, it's going to be 7 years of plenty, 7 years of famine, and my advice is, prepare during the years of plenty for the years of famine, save up your resources for that, and he becomes viceroy, the prime minister, the second in command, Mishnah Lamela, and he's famous, and all the girls probably want him, right? We'll get to that in a minute. Anyway, it says he winds up getting married to Osnath bas Potiphera Kohen On. Osnath, the daughter of Potiphera, the priest of On, or the leader of On. Some of the commentators, I know Hertz brings this, say that Potiphar and Potipharah are two different people, and they just happen to sound the same, but they're not the same person. Rashi, though, and a lot of the Mefarshim, the Midrashim, seem to say that no, it's actually the same person, whatever that means. The whole thing about whatever, becoming a priest, maybe becoming celibate, all these different things, but putting that aside, let's just assume that here we are. Who's his shver? His father-in-law is Potiphar, and so that means that his shviger, his mother-in-law, is Potiphar's wife. Now that's kind of uncomfortable. Can you imagine going to Pesach Seder? You know, his mom passed away. He can't go to his dad. He's stuck in Egypt. He can't go up to Canaan. His dad doesn't even know he's alive. So where does he go for Yontif? You know, where does he go for Passover Seder? Where does he go for Thanksgiving dinner? You know, Avdil, you know, or whatever they had in Egypt. I'm just, you know, this is the way that Rabbi Lichtenstein said it. But where he's probably spending time with this woman who tried to seduce him, and then framed him for rape and got him sent to jail for 20 years for a crime he didn't commit. It would be kind of uncomfortable, you know, sitting at the same table eating turkey or whatever. Obviously, they didn't have turkey in Egypt, but whatever they ate in Egypt, cats, I don't know. I mean, Yosef wouldn't be eating cats, and obviously, all right, we know the truth is, of course, they didn't eat together or whatever. The Egyptians didn't eat with the Hebrews and all these things, so there's no issue there, right? But still, you know, at some point, if they're not sitting and eating together, there's still something is going on. You know, they still have some fellowship there, you know. And so what, you know, how do you deal with that? Now, even with the Medrash, the Cinderella Medrash, right? Do you know this story? There's a legend, again, it's most likely not historically true, but it's a Medrash, a Midrash, that essentially Joseph, you know, he wanted to marry a Jewish girl, right? So he, where did he find a Jewish girl? Why did he marry this priest's daughter? What's going on here? So the story goes, Dinah, you know, she was raped. I guess she probably had a child, so this is Yosef's niece or half niece or whatever, you know. And Dinah was too embarrassed to raise her. She gave her up for adoption, but said, "Don't forget you're Jewish. Here's a little necklace with some Hebrew letters on it, so you'll know who you are." And she didn't know what it was, and then all the girls are trying to get Yosef's attention as he's being paraded through the street, as here he is, the new leader and an available bachelor, and they're all throwing flowers and jewelry and whatever else they're throwing. I don't know, I'm not going to say what they throw at rock stars, but you know, something along those lines, trying to get his attention. And this girl, all she had was this piece of jewelry with some Hebrew writing on it, and she threw that, and he found it, and he said, whoever this is, that's who I will marry. And kind of like Cinderella, and that's how they got married, and that's the whole story. Nice story. Anyway, even so that's his adopted in-laws. It's still, you know, he's still going to be hanging around them. All right, we could say, all right, if Potiphar, he changed his name to Potiphar because he became celibate, he became a eunuch, he became this, that, so that maybe he broke up with her or whatever. I don't know. They probably still hung out, you know. I mean, how did he avoid that? How was he comfortable with that? Wasn't that like an uncomfortable situation? And so Rabbi Lichtenstein, I don't know if he's quoting from someone else, but if it's his chiddush, it's beautiful and very nice. Let's look at word studies, right? The names Ephraim and Menashe, the sons of Yosef are Menashe and Ephraim. Menashe was first in Ephraim, and that's important. Menashe and Ephraim, right? That's how they say in English, in case you didn't know. Or Ephraim. It sounds funny to us, but Ephraim. Menashe and Ephraim. So, all right, he gave these names. The names mean something. The Bible tells us they mean something. The Bible tells us he named Menashe ki Nashani Elohim V'Skolam Oli V'Skol Beis Avi. I don't remember the exact wording. God made me forget, allowed me to forget all of everything that happened in my father's house, all of my suffering and everything. And Ephraim ki Ephraim Elohim Beretz Anye, that God allowed me to be fruitful, to be successful in the land of my affliction, my suffering, my poverty. And Rabbi Lichtenstein asks, why didn't he start off saying with the positive? He made me fruitful, I bore fruit, Paris, and then I forgot. You know, that the positivity made me forget. And the answer is no. He needed to be able to forget first and move on. Forgive, forget, let go, let God, right? And then when he did that, then he was able to be successful, you know. And I know myself, I mean, Rabbi Lichtenstein said this, but I know myself. I mean, think back, all these places I worked, I never got paid, or, you know, owe me money, this, they ruined this, that. But the truth is, God had a plan for me, because look, I'm living a good life now, I'm very thankful, even though I complain still. But I have my dream job right now, even though as much as I would like to be a rabbi in a shul, I would love to be a rabbi in a shul. All right, I'm assistant rabbi in a shul. You know, it's not that fulfilling to me, but it is serving. I'm being mishamish and Talmud Chacham, basically. You know. I'm doing important stuff, you know, and maybe I could use all right, you know, I could complain, all right, I could use a little bit more money or whatever it is, even though I'm making more money than I ever did in my life, you know, and but I have more expenses or whatever it is, you know, and I try to live a simple life as much as I can. But it'd be easy for me to just be like, oh, look how they, you know, did all these horrible things to me, this school that I worked at or that shul that I worked at and this and that. And it's hard also, you know, and part of the pain is like my reaction to that. It's like, you know, why didn't I have a more, and that's like just digging the pit even deeper and deeper. Like, why can't I just get over this or whatever? But Yosef, he was able to get over it, and that's why he was successful. That's why he was fruitful. That's why he was able to be that, because first he was able to forget Menashe. That's how he's able to come to Ephraim, to be fruitful, even when things were not going his way. He was able to forget all the bad stuff, and then he was able to be fruitful. Interestingly, I could add to that in this week's parsha, Jacob says that all of Israel will bless their children, saying, you should be like Ephraim and Menashe. And he put Ephraim before Menashe. What do we learn from that? That Jacob's blessing, though, was that we could be prosperous, and through the prosperity, the power of that prosperity, we can forget about our troubles. We don't have to, you know, because sometimes it's hard, but some to forget about your troubles when you're not prosperous. So Jacob, in his merciful approach, when he's wishing a blessing, which is more than just, you know, like Joseph was engaged in self-help, trying to get over it so he could be successful, and he was very successful, and his children were successful, and they were able to live in a impure land with purity and holiness. But Yaakov, when he's wishing a blessing, he's like, we shouldn't even have to worry about that. We could have Ephraim before Menashe. We could be fruitful before we forget all of our troubles, and forget our troubles because we're fruitful. And so we should all be blessed to be fruitful and successful, to be able to forget our troubles and to just move on, let go and let God, and live a life of blessing and prosperity. All right, God bless. Please like, share, and subscribe, comment. All the best.